We in global TV says certain kind of friend we no keep, and some informer friend we lovely. We in global, bona fide friend and bona tape. We in global, we not promote them, we not support them. Look at them on the cheek, come here represent for. We in global TV. Check it.
Good evening and welcome to the Global Television Group. It is the People's Point of View, and it is another episode of Crisis and Chaos. Call Andrew Holness, Paula Llewellyn, and Delroy Chuck. I have been instructed to read them bedtime story. Don't mind me and my bonnet. Today was my hair doing day. I dyed my hair, I washed my hair, and I plait it up. So I have to save it from all these little fluffs and things that fly around in Britain at this time of year. We get in every part of it. Call Delroy Chuck. I've been instructed to read bedtime story for Delroy Chuck tonight. So call Delroy Chuck. Good evening to my community of party and all my family members. Good evening to all my moderators, my platform membership holders, viewers and subscribers, commenters. Good evening and welcome. Thank you all for joining us. I usually don't say this, but good evening to the vlogging core, one which holds government to responsibility rather than the flimsy mainstream media who like to wield their arm violently. And who you thump or kick Triple X? Who did you thump or kick? We would like to know that. Anyway, let's get on with we and leave them to it. But in relation, Mark Golden and Andrew Holness, to Cliff Hughes' swift removal of Triple X, that I will deal with both of you on that later, but let's get on with it. Natalia, how are you? Natalia Freeman, Patricia Matthews, Debbie Jervis, good evening and welcome. Annie Smith, Sunshine, Marcia Este, Beat and Teach, Yvonne Johnson, good evening and welcome. Stacy, good evening. Mary Messenger TV, Kate M, Sharon, JC, Shauna Smith, Jeanette Riley, Monica Hawthorne, Elaine Turner, Abina Sarkodi, Izzy Holder, Lukia TV, JC Wagwan, Jamaican Foodie. Sorry. Who else there? Claudette Silvera. Good evening, all, and welcome. Thank you all for joining us. Make sure to call Delroy Chuck, whoever read bedtime story. It's coming up to Delroy's bedtime. We're going to read bedtime story for Delroy Chuck. Tag the Ministry of Justice. Gloria Morris. Deron Daly. Millie McBean. Amazing Grace. Godfrey Davis. Wellness Warrior Sophie. Denise Hall. Good evening to you all and welcome. Maxine Cummins, good evening. Good evening, Head Teacher K. Wagwan. Distant friend. Thanks for that topic this evening, Head Teacher K. I think more of us need to discuss the development of crime and bullying in our school and the lack of support for the teachers coming from Ministry of Justice, coming from Minister of National Security, who I do believe need to look at ways of policing at least the end of school from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, those troubled schools. You make sure you have high police presence in those areas, because the wanton criminality that's going on in our schools and on the way home from schools, it's getting out of control now. Distant friend, how are you? Real sweet. Mitchie. Christine Gilbert. Lenford Wilson. RJ. Good evening all and welcome. Miranda Rodder, good evening. Thank you all for joining us. Good evening. I'm going to try to, I do have a nice side to me. I'm going to try to deploy the nice side of me this evening in speaking to Paula. I don't know how long it will last or how far me can tag her on, but who do I speak to first? Well, I want to go hope Triple X and I want woman you beat up on, because someone a big, strong, weak man, big, strong body, but weak in a thinking capacity men like to wield on a fist unnecessary. I hope I know woman you beat off Triple X, because with that the big old cow looking self there. Figure wield your fist at a woman. It wouldn't be a nice thing. Triple X. I hope. I hear lights. Good evening and welcome. I hope it's not a woman you wield your fist at. Plain truth. Good evening. Carlos, I want to respond to something you questioned as to whether Andrew can strong arm the constitution, the constitution again to get around this judgment. Andrew and his undemocratic behavior cannot be underestimated, Andrea Daly. But given the ruling, it would be a wholly unwise thing to do. It is exactly what he has already done, and the court struck it down. So to go back and legislate around the Constitution, even if he does it with his majority, it wouldn't be valid, and it will go the same pursuit as this one. A paragraph in the judgment that the judges said the correct way to extend the tenure of the DPP is to do it in concession with the opposition. So Andrew could legislate around that for the rest of his life. He's not going to have it that way because that's not how the Constitution says. And the court already struck that move down. So it would be wholly unwise, Carlos, even though you can put red penny on Andrew Holness, but it would be wholly unwise. Given that Andrew Holness, the courts have been ruling against Andrew Holness and his unconstitutionality from 2015 to now. And may I ask the Constitutional Court, and why upon Friday evening on the rule against Andrew whether no a rule? Me just ask. Maxine Cummins, how are you? Colleen Richards, Love Entertainment. Angela Robinson. So I hope that answer your question, Carlos. Him can legislate all him want. There is no way around it legislatively. The court has just chucked it down. If him want to go waste ink again, it's up to him. But it's not just about the ink, it's the taxpayer money that is waste challenging these things in the court. But legislatively, there's no way around it. The Constitution says you and the opposition leader sit down and work it out. So that's the only way. And if it wasn't that court ruling also, it wouldn't expose since the 1st of April, Andrew has been committing another constitutional violation. The Office of the Public Service Commission, which somebody correct me if I'm right, that is the office that should have disciplined Miss Curtis if there's need to be, or carry out, Violet Watson, thank you for your membership. Thank you very much. Or carried out an investigation against Miss Curtis if there is the need, because as that office holder, she would be appointed by them. Oh. No, sir. Real sweet is easy at all. Me only hope I know one woman him put them big cow foot the pan. Only I hope. Because some of them man are coward. Them can only beat up on woman, and when them get somebody to turn up to them have manners them time there. So yes, Carlos, no matter how much him legislate round it be a useless ploy. The court already struck down him legislation. But after a long time, Andrew Aguanso. But I want Delroy Chuck to let us compare and contrast tonight. Because Labour politicians are like fish. They have very short memory. As soon as they swim around and come back, them come knock them nose pan the pole again. And every time it's the same swirling situation. Let me share an article. No, I could deal with Paula. Let me deploy my nice side to Paula first before me go into the article. Paula did not tell no lie. Me feel away. Loris Beckford, how are you? Jell of Entertainment, thank you very much. Thank you. Me feel away, Paula. Me not tell no lie. Me, I am a declared feminist. I want to see women in very high position, if not most of them. I am fed up of men, muscular, short neck, big belly, long pocket politics, and status. I am really fed up of them. Like, good fed up. Brittany L, rather, sorry. I'm really fed up of them. So I always glorify women, Norman Ferguson, in high-flying position. Denton Graham. But for Paula, there's a sad part of it. Jell of Entertainment, thank you as well for becoming a member of the Global TV group. Arlene Bengals, Beulah, Rosie D. There's something inside of me. Feel a bit sorry for Paula, even though her stubbornness and her corrupt. When you could pass the brush over the incompetent bit of her that we've plainly seen in public. The corrupt bit is hard for a lot of us to swallow. The corrupt bit is hard for a lot of us, Pamela Okola, to look away from. But to see a woman who have held such a powerful position as a woman for the first time in independent Jamaica, and to have gone down in such a disgrace on dishonor, me feel away, God knows, on that side of it, me feel away. Because I think she could have saved her professional integrity. She could have protected and saved the integrity of the office. She could have also looked at protecting women in high positions of power. But the truth is, the way your career came to an end, you did not have time to do it gracefully, and that leaves a bad taste in the stomach. Lorna Emery. It does, as a person who is a feminist, for me, that does leave a bad taste in the stomach. Your incompetences maybe could have criticized and brushed over, forsaken, forgiven, because we all learn as we go along. But the corruption part, the stand aside and allow the Minister of Justice to challenge the court on a declaration. The disregards to the rule of law, Paula, in how you accept the extension by Andrew Holness strong arming and violating or going around the Constitution to do it. You have really damaged something historical. Even remembered or celebrated for the first female DPP, Mavis Gooden. There is always going to be a shadow over your work for good. You show disregard for the rule of law, beyond wholeness. You show disregard for the rule of law. You also show disregard for the ruling from the courts, the very court that you would hope to sit on as a judge, because you still have time that you could be appointed to the bench. I think that's really, to me, it just leaves a bad taste. It just leaves an awfully bad taste. But I do hope the new appointee acting will act independently with respect for the Constitution and respect for the rule of law. We don't want to end up in another constitutional crisis again like this, where the DPP office has become a bat and ball between the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. And all of this has happened because we have a serial constitutional violator with a majority in parliament that allows him to push anything through without political challenge. Never again would I want to see my country in this unbalanced legislative position. It is what you call a slippery slope to dictatorship. As well as because of the debacle, Andrew Holness was violating the Constitution, because this office also, the Public Service Commission, is a constitutional office. This is the office where we would refer people like DPP, people like Miss Curtis and them people. These people are responsible for those major office holders. Can you see? And Andrew Holness have this office, Daisy Magazine, vacant from the 1st of April. Vacant from the 1st of April without having seamless government administration continuing, by having an heir apparent team waiting to be appointed to continue the work on the 1st of April. And now he's appointed them yesterday, because without their appointment, the appointment of the acting director of prosecution would fall into utter chaos. So I have to run quickly, appoint them yesterday in order to get the deputy DPP appointed today. But on the hope these two women, Esther Dwyer, I only hope these two women that are appointed to these two powerful positions, however long the acting DPP may be in that position, will carry out their portfolio with integrity and not allow their career to end in the shambles the way Paula Llewellyn has allowed her career as a high flyer to just end with a shroud of mystery and corruption and all sorts. But I'm going to read for you now. I don't know if you want to hear this important phone I want to hear, because you have to use their words to remind them. I'm going to read from an observer article. Let me bring it in stream phone. I'm reading from an observer article dated 7th of February rather. I don't have to remember sometimes that they are capital dunce. So mistake run high. I'm reading from an Observer article dated February 7th, 2015, when Andrew Holness was in opposition. Bear that in mind. And the headline, resignation pressure mounts on Holness. Call Delroy Chuck. Delroy Chuck have to hear this. Christopher, how are you? When you call Delroy Chuck, I'm going to go into my reading format now. And Delroy Chuck need to be reminded, because we have questions to ask Delroy Chuck. So I want to make sure somebody tell Delroy Chuck, say him name a call. All right, we will get away in the bag of wire. Bear in mind, I'm reading from an article, February 7th, 2015. Chuck requests urgent meeting of opposition MPs. Pressure mounted yesterday on the opposition leader on Holness to resign when senior Jamaica Labour Party parliamentarian Delroy Chuck requested an urgent meeting of the party MPs to discuss last Friday's Constitutional Court declaration in the Senate resignation letter saga. Chuck, who just over a week ago was appointed party spokesman and justice, and was asked to shadow the Attorney General portfolio, made the meeting request in a letter to Derek Simmet, the leader of the opposition business in the House of Representatives. He also copied the letter to all opposition MPs. Hold on. Chuck said after reading the judgment in the case, he believed the matter to be of urgent national importance, and as of such, urging his parliamentary colleagues to read them, meaning the judgment. This is a very important paragraph. In the Westminster system of government, any constitutional office holder, be it the Prime Minister, Leader of the Opposition, Speaker of the House, Chief Justice, or others, and I'm inserting this, which would include the Director of Public Prosecution, who the court rules or declare to act unlawful or unconstitutionally, would be obliged in all good conscience and honor to tender his or her resignation unless there is a good compelling reason not to do so, Delroy Chuck says. Does Delroy Chuck understand this paragraph he spoke in 2015 and how this paragraph would relate to the current ruling of last Friday? Would he understand that, Dion? Would Chuck be able to understand the compare and contrast to what he said about the Constitutional Court ruling against Andrew Holness in 2015 to the Constitutional Court, Delroy Henry, ruling against the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice in this matter, Pauline Robinson, Patrick Evans? But I'm going to come back to the article, but I will take a quick break. And when we join you back, we continue with the article. So tell Delroy Chuck, hurry up and come. Thank you very much and welcome back. Let's continue fumbling through the article. I ask that you call an urgent meeting of all opposition MP to consider the matter, he added. On Friday, the Constitutional Court comprises Justice Courtney Day, Marva McDonald Bishop, and David Batts declare unanimously, and therein last Friday's judgment was also a unanimous judgment from the Constitutional Court, just like this judgment in 2015 was also a unanimous judgment from the Constitutional Court. All three judges sitting on the panel agree the same. Declare unanimously that Holness requests for pre-signed and undated resignation letter from persons to be appointed opposition senators and his use of those letters to oust Arthur Williams and Christopher Tufton were inconsistent with the Constitution, contrary to public policy, unlawful, and accordingly null and void. What is the difference, Delroy Chuck, to the wording in this ruling compared to the wording in last Friday's ruling? Why you think you must muscle up and challenge and challenge the court. How much Andrew pay you, or since 2015 to know why you don't have regard for the Constitution anymore, Delroy Chuck, that you're willing to muscle up to the Constitution for Andrew to get his way? Because on a JLP him a go against this time. Remember, Andrew unconstitutionality start right within his own party. Everybody's seen Andrew Holness for what he is now. Continue reading, Wayne. The court made the declaration on a claim filed by, I think, Arthur Williams after he and Christopher Tufton was ousted from the Senate in November 2013 after the acrimonious leadership race for the Jamaica Labour Party that pit Audley Shaw against Holness. This same debacle, Andrew Holness, is looming all around you at the moment. And guess what? Chris Tufton is here as a contender again. Audley Shaw might not be, he won't be, but I'm sure Audley Shaw will be throwing his weight behind Christopher Tufton, the crook, the doctor with the funeral parlor, the Minister of Health with the funeral parlor. And I'm sure there are other contenders, Andrew Holness. Somebody will have to wield the knife because you are a sitting duck and you're going to take down the entire ship with you. Who will first be the first to wield the knife? Continue reading. Chuck added support. So Chuck had supported Shaw in the contest. The resignation letter were signed by opposition senator in January 2013 before their appointment and were related to the Jamaica Labour Party position on Jamaica accepting the Caribbean Court of Justice as its final court of appeal. During the trial, Williams' lead attorney, Dr. Lyde Barrett, he's a constitutional expert, had argued that the resignation letter was brought into effect contrary to Williams' consent and in contravention of the Constitution. He also said Williams had expressed to Holness that he did not intend to resign. But under Holness' attorney, Georgia Gibson Henlin, argued that Williams' right had not been breached. On Friday, Williams expressed satisfaction with the court's declaration. I feel vindicated from the day that this matter happened in November 2013. This is not about me or Christopher Tufton. It's about the Constitution of Jamaica. Delroy Chuck, this is not about Paula Llewellyn or Andrew Holness. It is about the Constitution of Jamaica. And I feel constrained to pursue this action to this stage, and I am glad today that the Constitutional Court has ruled and ruled the way they have, he told the Observer. Later that day, Holness, who appointed Royal Reid and Nigel Clark, the multinational thieves, the multinational thief, them, who filled 2 vacancies, said the court declaration would not affect the composition of the opposition senators. Mr. Arthur Williams, attorney at law, who was at the time my chief of staff and also leader of the opposition business in the Senate, created the letter and advised me that I hold this, I tell this a lie, because you know them love tell lie and stuff, and advised me on their use and its constitutionality, rather, Holness said in a statement. However, on Saturday, Holness appeared to have softened his position, expressing regret at the situation and saying it was never in his intention to act unconstitutionally. This was 2015, Andrew. But how much time since then, Jesus have mercy, have the court ruled against you for your unconstitutional behavior and your wholeness? Jesus Christ. So hope for something we're promising at 2015 don't fulfill it. You know, this was breaking news. Andrew Holness promised not to act in a constitutional behavior. Was a 2015 promise, like many others, that is yet to be actualized. My God, it gets worse. The deeper you dig into this, man, it gets worse. I not even know what I'm saying. I commenting about it soon come to know. If me bored, I'm sorry, but it's important to go back to history. My overriding consideration as leader of the opposition was in discharge of my duty to safeguard the spirit and intent of the constitutional provision, which provide for the protection of constitution from changes which may not be in the best interest of the people of Jamaica. Jesus Christ. And you know, the same thing the man said, oh, time out. That was my last the paragraph when we did there. The same thing the man said, oh, time out. I hit him turn round and come do. Yes, I have somebody did there. I hit him turn round and come do again. Port a bit out front. We would call him in St. Elizabeth. Port a bit out front. Why this thing? I go, I mean, I want him to go. Anyway, we're soon done. My action, therefore, in accepting the advice of the claimant regarding resignation of senator in the matter was to ensure the effective administration of government for the people, the necessity of which was recognized in the judgment at paragraph 64, Holness said. It was the same reason, Holness, why you should appoint the Public Service Commission from the 1st of April, so you have effective administration of government and public service. But never mind. His reference was to Justice Day's observation that was not beyond political leaders and parliamentarians to create constitutional convention regarding resignation of senators to ensure effective administration of government for the people. Holness also said that when Williams questioned the validity of the letter, he took the decision to return of returning to the leader of the opposition business in the Senate all such letters without exception long before the court deliver its judgment. Another cop-out strategy. That's the end of this article. Why did I have to read that article? To show you something that we all know. The glaring hypocrisy of the Jamaica Labour Party and its criminals and cahoots. Hypocrisy after hypocrisy after hypocrisy. It's only when it suits them. James, Wayne Evans, Rosemary Samuels. It's only when it suits them. And then they have the nerve, Paulette Francis, to talk about law and rule of law and Jamaica people in the said Jacqueline Murray sentence where them violate Monica Wills, where them violate everything of your rights. Sasha Lewis, Carol Gale. Good evening all, and welcome. Kishore Fulton, how are you? Good evening, Lady J Love. But people, and this is more so for the people at home, underground. Now I'll get better with Andrew Holness, you know. I mean, notice black people have a way of walking and begging people for them freedom, walking and begging people for respect them democracy. What about demanding it? What about taking it? What about standing up for it? Who you think listen to you when you are begging and asking? You think nobody have time out of their busy life to stop and listen to you, asking somebody not to be racist to you, asking somebody not to violate your constitution? Those things are by demand. You can't ask people who oppress you to stop. You push back and tell them, say, rubbish you deal with, do not accept this. Claudette Robinson. Jamaica people, you have to become more engaged. Your disengagement, Jamaica people, Yvonne Riley, fuels government tyranny and dictatorship. Too much agwan in the country, and there's no outrage from the people. Lawlessness a breakout in our school, and there is no outrage. We pick them and get stabbed left, right, and center, and nobody not care. But when we got Black Road and Bundong Street, the termite. Jamaica people have a other person and make we eat food mentality. Whether it be politician, Batman, Danman, or anybody from them and make we not eat food. Everybody going utter silence. Nobody no stand up for nothing in Jamaica. Everybody fall for where somebody can put in a them hand. Everybody fall for other man there make we eat a food. Look at Jamaica now, Jam Flicks. Look at Jam Flicks. Something they can show every day. Something is on show every day in Jamaica. Look at Jamaica now. Because everybody think from the person a stretch them hand give you, you can't tell them where they're going wrong. Because of the brutal entrenchment of criminality by politicians, which is spreading over the country like Kersey Nile. Because one time when we talk about them something there, we are talking about Kingston and Spanish Town. Me would have feel more comfortable go town, go walk up and down now more than go Mobile, go walk up and down. Shoot out. A happening in a ghost town, Black River. So this thing has spread like kerosene now. You don't see no community groups rising up to say we have to take back control of our community. You don't see any parent group rising up and say we have to take back control of our schools. You don't see the people rising up and say, no man, government are ched pan we and we're picking them rights too much. We have to rise up and utter silence. Not 1 ounce of outrage. The country in a constitutional crisis, where the executive, Llwellyn Mikhail, where the country is in a constitutional crisis. Executive rum raid the legislature. The court turned up and said, no, not so fast. This is not fast and furious. And then Delroy Chuck, who asked Andrew Holness to resign in 2015 when the constitutional court, ruled against Andrew constitutionally unconstitutional behavior. It is this same Delroy Chuck in 2024 which is leading an appeal disregarding another declaration judgment or declarative judgment from the court. Let us read the same Delroy Chuck, who asked Andrew Holness to resign, Isilda Williams, in 2015 because of Andrew Holness' unconstitutional behavior. 9 years later, this same Delroy Chuck is using the office of the Ministry of Justice to protect the very thing he asked Andrew Holness to resign over. What a load of hypocrisy. Oh, that's so. Who will government resign? At the dawn of hypocrisy. Every violation from this government tried to twist them way out of it and make it look like we're fools. Why there's no outrage from the people? It is rather shocking. Not only that it is shocking, it's also disturbing how Jamaicans are willing to let a family, one guy, 63 MPs or 49 MPs, rum raid over your children's future. Forget you. Most of it's soon dead and gone. But your children and your grandchildren. Imagine Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Martin Luther, Nelson Mandela, Kwame Nkrumah, Stephen Biko. Imagine those people didn't put up the fight continuously. Dr. Maya Angelou. Imagine these people stayed quietly, as a lot of us are today. Do you think the rights we're enjoying now have people not continuously fighting for us to have these rights? Do you think we would have had these rights today? And would you like your children and grandchildren to move into a future where they have less rights and privilege than you have now? Does it sit well with you? Come on, Jamaican people, get on board. Some of we get tired of the talking. It's like we're praying without work because the work need to be done on the ground, Jamaica people. When a criminal, a Spanish town or Kingston, the reason why you not get nowhere in a life is because bad man and bad politician control you. When you go black road and burn tire, when you bleach out face criminal, them dead. Termite. Who want termite around them? Like literally, the Lord's slogan. Live by the sword, termite. Finish the sentence wherever you are. We cannot let criminality hold the country to ransom. Blood for blood, at some point we're going to have to stand up to politicians and the gangsters aligned to them. Otherwise, we're just going to move into a reckless lawlessness or a dictatorship if we just allow these two groups to continue to control us. We can't continue to make politicians and criminals control we. We're more than them people. We're more than them. We can't allow politicians and gunmen to team up together and take over our country. Every hand's on deck. This job is not for revolutionaries. It get to the point now where it's for all of we. All of we are meet it. All of we are catch fire with it. It is the crookedness and the corruption of our politicians. Why we see our parliament since February especially is just rapidly falling apart. Everything is going haywire over there. Nothing on the track. Nobody has understand what they're doing. Andrew has received countless and countless of unconstitutional violations from the court. Don't you see the danger, Jamaica people? Really? You don't see the danger of unholiness where for 9 years the constitutional court has been protecting you from that man. Don't you see that? Sometimes I'm tempted to think the court is corrupt, but Isaac Buchanan always say he has confidence in the court system. And sorry. And when you look at Andrew Holness' track record of violations and how the court has ruled against his violations, it gives you some sort of hope that if us, the people, get on board, we can flush out and restore our justice system. If the People's National Party did not put up these challenges, we would be walking blindfolded, or not even blindfolded, open-eyed into democracy. Because a lot of the interested groups in our country, which ought to be taking a lot of these unconstitutional violations to court, are really but a title, a lot of them. It's just a title, and they're not actually doing a job of pushing back against the government. Don't get me started on the media. Don't get me started on them. Don't get me started on them. But to be honest, Overcliffe will tell you more. We're going into the political wrangle-dangle than the rest. I want them will run follow everything pretty and shiny. Open your into dictatorship, Brittany. So the rulings of the courts from 2015 to what we saw last Friday in pushing back Andrew Holness every time he attacks our democracy, that should give one hope. But we shouldn't left it just to the court only. The issue of freedom of speech and freedom of assembly in Jamaica is a worrying problem. People are in such fear that they are willing to allow government to trample over their right without any challenge to government because of the fear that affects your freedom of speech and your freedom of association and assembly, which give you the right to protest. The militarization of the country, the taking out people from under their bed, even Bradford, because of their free speech, the stringent rules around the lockdown period, Andrew Holness has used those behavior to drive the people of Jamaica into fear. And I'm advising you tonight, snap out of it. Snap out of it. It's not doing any good to you. It's not doing any good to our history going forward. And it's not doing anything good to the confidence of the next generation. Snap out of it, Black people. Snap out of it, Jamaicans. And stop being afraid of crooked politicians and their gangs. There's lots of maneuver. I mean, so if we go, they go take them on. But there's lots of maneuver we can make around them. Without this constitutional challenging and pushback, we would have some illegal, oppressive laws at the moment. And we must always make sure that there's always a guardrail to protect us from tyrannical dictatorship. And it is for that reason why at no point our parliament should end up in the way that it is at the moment, where one side can just get up out of their bed and legislate whatever they want to legislate. It is very, very dangerous. It is threatening to any democracy. All you need is a narcissistic tyrant and his cult, and whoopsie-daisy, democracy is gone. So, people of Jamaica, you are charged with standing up for not your future, but the future of your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. We can't just roll over some people. The private investor, them a fight hard as much as them a tell you about criminality and all sorts and bad health care. Yes, we know, and we live in it forever. But they are fighting hard to get a piece of that rich soil. Piece of the mule and 40 acre, one did promise and none of it to date, no get it. But to the Lion Church, rather than a promise we pass our land, tell Elizabeth, hand over the allodial title for Jamaica to the people of Jamaica. Tell not the nasty Elizabeth, the nasty Charles. Tell Charles, JP, to hand over the allodial title of Jamaica, and then by which the state of Jamaica, the people of Jamaica then can own the land. But for now, it is crown land held under an allodial title by the colonial master. Some of them would call it a feudal title. But we don't want apology from the church. We want back our land, or books, or artifacts, and we want to tell you the price of what we sell you every strip of our minerals for. So Jamaica people, you are charged to stand up for the next generation. Don't be judged by the history books as the generation which they say sold us out into slavery. Because let this generation stand, then we will be painted in history 200 years from now as those which broke the chain in the fight for independence. This was the people's point of view. And this is your global television group. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Nobody have no question to ask me before me go. Join me back here tomorrow for your regular At a Glance program. I feel tired in my head. But have a great one. And remember, to all of my people at home, there is no better moment than the current one. Thank you very much, and good night. May I go get some sleep now. I am head tired.